Hey y'all, this is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way you watch basketball. In this series, we'll be looking over every single prospect in the coming draft, some of which you may already know, however, numerous other hidden gems are going to be explored. In today's episode, we're going to cover the high-scoring guard, Terrence Shannon. When exploring Shannon's game, there are a few offensive strengths that jump off the page. The first of which is his ability to score within the pick and roll. Last season, Shannon had a 65 true shooting percentage on pick and roll plays, which is great. Next is his transition offense. Shannon's speed and control and ability to push the basketball is a big reason why he had 1.32 points per possession in transition. Finally, Shannon is a high-volume three-point shooter where he shot 36% from beyond the arc and 46% of all of his shots were threes. What I love to see from this is how he's able to create for himself and how he makes threes at a really high clip, especially from off the dribble, where he's very efficient. Despite these strengths, there are still a few pretty big weaknesses to his game offensively. The first of which is he really struggles to hunt for his shot off the ball. There are numerous opportunities where he could drift to the corner or relocate to become more open, and he's not necessarily aware enough to do so. Secondly, Shannon is an extremely inconsistent passer, and he only has about a 1.16 assist to turnover ratio, which is really bad, especially for someone that might want to be a primary ball handler. Finally, his shot selection has stretches where it's a little inconsistent and oftentimes poor. He probably takes one too many mid-range jump shots, and he also takes a pretty high amount of contested looks. Overall, he has some weaknesses, but I think he could work on it, especially given time. Now let's start off and explore Terrence Shannon in transition. On this possession, Shannon gets the rebound and showcases his immense ability to push the ball in order to score. What I like seeing here from Shannon is the fact that he changes his direction in order to force 23 to also change, and once 23 has to turn around, it's night-night, it's an easy bucket. On this possession, we're once again able to see Terrence Shannon immediately hunt for an outlet pass, push with pace, and just look how fast he plays. Despite the fact that he finishes with like a slow euro, he's able to fully accelerate and go from fast to slow on a dime. Really great stuff. On this possession, Shannon sprints ahead and then looks to score, and once again, his touch is just different. On this possession, Terrence Shannon does not get the ball. However, when this turnover occurs, there are about two guys ahead of him and one guy even with Terrence Shannon. This doesn't matter. Terrence Shannon is going to outrun them all, and look how fast he runs. This is insane, and he's still able to have great touch when he does this. Really impressive. Another thing that Shannon does at an extremely high level is his ability to change pace. Right here, he slows up and then accelerates to get a nice bucket. Really fun to watch. Additionally, Shannon has shown flashes of being able to push into pulling threes, which is really exciting. Look how he's able to go from so quickly, he's running so fast, slow down, get his feet under him, and knock it down. Really impressive. On this possession, Shannon is once again going to try to push in order to get a three. However, I don't love this shot nearly as much for a couple reasons. First of which, this shot is not open. There's a man right here, you're pulling it from beyond NBA range, and it's not a good look. Where in the previous shot, he was really sprinting and playing with pace, here he seems very much to settle. I would much rather see Illinois flow into their offense and score in other ways rather than Shannon take this shot. I think one of his biggest flaws in what is going to move him down some boards are the fact that he does have shots like that are at times just simply erratic. Now that we've watched Terrence Shannon in transition, let's explore his game in the pick and roll. One thing that Terrence Shannon does at an extremely high level is knowing when and being able to refuse ball screens. Right here, Terrence Shannon initially recognizes the Duquesne defender, taking a couple steps this way, realizes he's not impacting the ball, so he simply rejects and gets a nice bucket. He does this again against Wisconsin. I like the fact that he slows up here, recognizing he doesn't have numbers, calls for the ball again, Looks like he's setting a screen, and then again, look how quick of a pace change that was. He's walking, and then boom, really good. This change of pace is why he's going to be so effective as a player. Right here, they're running an empty ball screen, and once again, he's able to change pace on a dime and score, and wow, what a nice Euro finish. Really impressive. Terrence Shannon can score in the pick and roll outside of simply refusing ball screens. As we're going to see right here, he does do better when he drives left. That's his natural hand. He takes the screen and is able to just blow by this defender. While he doesn't finish it, the showcase of display of athleticism here is simply impressive. On this possession, Terrence Shannon is going to attack Ohio State, who chooses to ice the ball screen. For those of you who don't know, icing the ball screen is when this defender right here gets into Terrence Shannon and forces him to go baseline, with this help being on this side. Terrence Shannon recognizes this, attacks the big, and has a nice inside hand finish. Another thing that Terrence Shannon shows flashes of being really good at is knowing when and how to attack bigs in drop coverage. On this possession, he goes right at the big, changes pace, and has an incredible finish. While this is true, Terrence Shannon does have a tendency to settle, especially against drop coverages where he sometimes will just force shots. Right here, he kind of goes downhill, doesn't get the level of separation that he got initially, and forces it up. If he was to play more under control, there's a wide open kick right here if you make this pass to the corner, and it should be an open three. You also could potentially kick to this corner once this man comes in, and you have two corner threes. Pick your poison. They're both much better looks than this. I think with Shannon, sometimes he gets tunnel vision once he gets his head downhill. Another issue with Terrence Shannon is sometimes he is a bit too fast. On this play, he's going really fast, but it causes him not to have the same level of control that we saw in some of his earlier clips. I don't think that this is the trend for him, and I think more often than not, he's very good at being able to finish while being at full speed. However, when you play as fast as he does, you're inevitably going to have some plays that look like this. On this possession, Terrence Shannon once again showcases his shooting as he looks to pull a three coming off of a ball screen. Right here, he dribbles in, and look at that, stopping on a dime. Because defenders are so worried about his ability to get downhill, it allows him to have nice plays like this. Really good stuff. On this possession, Terrence Shannon is going to draw a switch as this screen occurs right here. I honestly think he probably could go at the defender more, but when you can do stuff like this, the three is completely fine. I like to see it. Terrence Shannon has flashes of being able to pass in the pick and roll. As we see here on a dribble handoff situation, he gets downhill and makes a nice, simple pocket pass. I like to see it. Another thing that he does at a pretty high level in the pick and roll is he does show flashes of being able to make skip passes, which is very important. Right here, he's calling for a ball screen from Coleman Hawkins, realizes that nobody's paying attention to this man, and he says, okay, I'm just going to make this throw. These are the types of flashes of high-level passing that are very impressive. However, as you'll see later, it's not always the best thing for him. In isolation, he also has a really deep bag. Right here, he has a nice crossover and once again gets into a touch shot. I like to see this. While it might be forcing it, I don't love floaters that are that contested. It's still very impressive, and he has a very nice bag. While we're going further into this, we watch him on this possession. Shannon's going to get the ball and make multiple moves to get into space and have a nice finish at the rim. His touch and creativity is very impressive. Really good stuff. Watch this again. Sizes up his man. And then the change of pace is really what makes him that special. As I mentioned earlier, Terrence Shannon does have a habit of potentially missing kicks. This is especially true in isolation. On this possession, Shannon's going to get downhill, however, he's out of control during the drive. What I would like to see from Shannon is him to jump stop, get off 2 feet, and if he's able to do that, I think Coleman Hawkins could potentially be open on a cut. You also have this pass out to the corner. I think both of those two reads would be better than jacking this up. On this possession, it's more of the same, and this is an even more simple pass that Terrence Shannon misses. Right here, he draws the help side in, and there's now 2 defenders that are focused on Shannon. This leaves a wide open pass on the wing. You need to make this pass every single time. Instead, Terrence Shannon tries that, gets away with not having a charge called. However, he still takes a really bad shot. In isolation, Terrence Shannon also does a really good job getting off the dribble, getting into a move, and pulling threes, which he's very effective with. On this possession, I would like to maybe see him attack the switch a bit more. I think it's very possible that he could get downhill and draw this guy and potentially have a kick, especially now that his center is on him. However, Terrence Shannon really likes this move, and he forces up a 3. I think that he shoots threes at a pretty efficient clip, so it's not awful, but I'd like to see maybe a little bit more knowing the time to do this, and I don't love doing it when you get a switch. Right here, he also jabs and forces up a really bad shot. What I don't like seeing about this is how early it is in the shot clock. You could run a set, very easily flow into a bunch of different things. This is not offense, that's just playing in your backyard. Not good stuff. On this possession, we're going to watch Terrence Shannon be ready to shoot off the ball. While it's not something he does a lot, he's able to knock it down. Nothing uniquely special about this clip, but it's just good to showcase him playing off the ball and how his shot is still very fluid. On this possession, I don't love Terrence Shannon's spacing right here. As you see initially, he's just kind of running up to the ball, calling for it. However, he catches it here and has a nice smooth release for a deep 3. One thing that Terrence Shannon has shown flashes of being really good at is attacking closeouts. On this possession, Shannon gets the ball, rips through, and has a nice athletic dunk. On this possession, we're going to see more attacking closeouts from Shannon. I don't love his spacing here. I don't think really camping 35 feet behind the line is really, in the coach's box, is really a great play. However, Terrence Shannon chooses to do this. He pump fakes and has a really nice finish. I don't love that spacing. It's not going to work in the NBA, but when you're as good as he is, sometimes things happen for you. On this possession, I'd like to see Shannon more ready to shoot. If he had his knees bent initially, this should be a shot every time. Instead, he pump fakes and takes a really awkward finish. I don't love that from him. Overall, I think off ball, I'd just like to see him more engaged, more ready, and just in better spots. Now let's move on to Terrence Shannon on the defensive end. Shannon has a few defensive strengths that are very exciting. The first of which is that he does really well when he goes against smaller guards. He's able to use his 6'5" frame and length in order to kind of help him in situations where his footwork might not always be the best, and it allows him to be efficient, typically guarding most point guards that he's experienced. Next, he's a very high-level athlete, and his ability to run the floor, jump high, all of the things that you like to see allow him to have some really spectacular highlight plays. Finally, he's very alert off ball, and there's very few occasions where you see him get beat backdoor or fall short to a stagger screen. This awareness makes him a pretty solid defender overall. While Shannon has his strengths, there are a few major weaknesses that need to be considered. The first of which is the fact that he really struggles with guards or wings who are of equal or bigger size against him. This makes him a little less switchable than you would like for someone who's 6'5". Next, he does have a tendency to overplay actions. He might sprint hard and try to blow up a DHO and end up getting beat that way, and that's really not great to see. And then finally, his pick and roll screen navigation just is not up to par, and he consistently gets clipped. This causes his team to frequently play at a disadvantage. Now let's explore Terrence Shannon on the defensive end. On this possession, Shannon takes a poor shot. However, he showcases his elite athleticism, and watch this chase down block. This is just superb. Look at how much of an advantage his man has over him. It doesn't matter, Shannon's not going to give up on the play. Now let's get on to some actual defense, and we're going to watch him in a driving line situation. As you see, he's engaged, moving his feet, and overall really well. He beats his man to the spot, and once again, he relies on his length is a really key big portion of his defense. Right here, guarding John L. Davis, I'd like his point of contact to actually be higher, especially considering the fact that Davis is a shooter. What I mean by that is I would like Terrence Shannon to meet him closer up here, even maybe past that. However, Shannon is playing a little low. Despite this, He has decent driving line defense, but it's the length that really makes him stand out. On this possession, the ball is caught at the wing by AJ Hogard, and I love seeing the verticality from Terrence Shannon. For those of you who don't know, verticality is exactly how it sounds. I draw a straight line up, and that showcases Shannon guarding without fouling. On this possession, Terrence Shannon actually showcases flashes of really good physicality. As you see, he's guarding number 22 on Wisconsin, and he's fighting. He's trying to make a play. This catch happens, and I like seeing Shannon compete. He's bodying up and really just leaving it all out there and remaining vertical. This is letting me know that he does have the capabilities to be in there with the big guys. It's just not always there. In these bigger moments in this Big Ten championship game, when it's close, he's competing. However, there are flashes of times where he might not be fully in it mentally. On this possession, Terrence Shannon is beat in a driving line situation. Right here, he's kind of off balance. As you see, he gets clipped earlier, and then Ohio State's guard is able to hit him with multiple bumps, and this puts Shannon off balance, and it gives up a layup. On this possession, it's a little bit more of the same with Shannon as he gets blown by. I like the fact that he's engaged right here. However, he loosens up, and his footwork is not elite, and he's lucky that Coleman Hawkins is there to save the play. While this is true, there are flashes of him having really good screen navigation and being involved. I like seeing him get over the screen. However, he does cheat the play a little bit, and I think this could be an easy screen to be rejected. As you see, he's kind of already fighting over the screen without pressuring the man. What you want to do is get into this guy right here, make sure he uses the screen while making sure he doesn't reject. The guard has a really good opportunity to take one dribble here and then go all the way in the opposite direction. The guard chooses not to do this time because he doesn't make that read. That's probably why the guard is playing for Duquesne. Terrence Shannon guards him here, has good driving line defense, doesn't fall for the pump fake, and overall is very impressive. On this possession, you showcase Terrence Shannon fighting through a ball screen, showcasing that he does have the ability to do this when he's engaged. He goes under, fights through the twist, and fully competes. Really good stuff. On this next possession, Terrence Shannon is going to get clipped by the ball screen. The screen occurs at the top of the key. He gets clipped. However, his athleticism allows him to make a play. Really impressive. I think his effort in recovery is able to make up for poor screen navigation like this play. As you see right here, he gets completely beat by the zoom action, yet his length allows him to get a block. Really good. On this possession, he's not so lucky and he's not able to recover. Right here, the screen is twisted. Shannon frequently has a tendency to go under screens, and when you go under a screen, the other team should always twist it. And the reason behind this is all of Shannon's momentum is going this way, and it's impossible for him to be able to change on a dime and go the other direction. This leads to him getting beat, and then his bump completely takes him out of the play. His physicality is not great. On this possession, it's once again going to be not the best screen navigation from Shannon. As he goes through this zoom action, he gets clipped multiple times and then falls for a really easy pump fake. While he's shown flashes of being able to recover through his length and high effort at times, I'm concerned that relying on frequently just being able to get chased down blocks or making a play to save the day is not going to work at an NBA level, especially when guards are more talented. This is why even in the highlight clips that he had here, I was still very concerned with the fact that he's getting clipped to begin with. On this final clip, we see Terrence Shannon overplay a DHO, showcasing him being a bit overly aggressive. Right here, Shannon is trying to blow up this play and go for a steal. However, Wisconsin's able to bump back and get a nice finish. Now that we've watched the film, let's talk about Terrence Shannon as a prospect. Firstly, the elephant in the room is Shannon's ongoing off-the-court issues and his current legal battle. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. If I was a lawyer, I wouldn't be running a YouTube channel right now, and I'm not going to be discussing Terrence Shannon's issues off the court. I'm just going to focus on what I've been able to see on his film on the court. On the court, Terrence Shannon is very clearly a ball-dominant guard that has a really elite scoring ability. He's showcased flashes to make those elite skip passes, and he's also been able to at times make simple reads. However, that inconsistency in the frequency of which he misses kicks makes me doubt his ability to ever become a starting level guard in the NBA. I think more likely than not, his ceiling is being a very high volume guy off the bench. At 6'5", Jordan Clarkson, I believe, is also 6'5", and he's a righty, but I could see him almost maybe developing into being a lefty version of Clarkson. However, I think Shannon relies more on his speed than Clarkson does, which is another plus to Shannon's game. I am concerned when evaluating Shannon as a player that his speed is not going to be as beneficial in the NBA as it was for him in college. This is simply because the athletes in the NBA are that much better. I think Shannon is going to have to work on developing a little bit more of a consistent kind of decision-making process, because his speed is great, but if you're able to also be fast and make great reads, that's even better. I think Shannon's obvious floor is if he's not able to be efficient enough as a passer to justify putting him in, especially in a backup spot. If you want a spark plug off the bench that can be instant offense, I think Terrence Shannon's your guy. However, if you want somebody that can run your offense, I don't necessarily see that as Shannon, and I could see a world if he's not able to put the reads together, in which he's in the G League in a couple years and we see him on overtime. Like, why is he not in the NBA after he drops 50 points in a G League game? And I do think that that is potentially a likely outcome for his career. As far as where I would draft him, I actually think he is a talented enough player to maybe justify getting him at the very late end of the first. However, I personally think his talent level puts him closer to like the mid to early 30s. However, once again, given the off the court stuff, I wouldn't be shocked if he fell to as low as undrafted, but I also think realistically with his talent and how much he was able to put up numbers wise in college, he'll probably get drafted around the mid to late 40s. Overall, that's my take, and I appreciate you watching this video, and stay back again for another episode of The Rim Review.